Your dog is looking at you right now, not barking, not pawing at you, not asking for anything, just sitting there completely still, eyes soft, watching your face, and you probably just said something like, "What?" and went back to whatever you were doing. That moment you just dismissed, that quiet, unmoving, unremarkable moment, is one of the most significant things your dog will ever do in front of another living being. Most people walk past it every single day. Here is what this video is going to do. It is going to show you one specific, silent behavior that your dog performs only for the person they trust above every other human in their life. Not the loudest behavior, not the most obvious one, the one that almost no one recognizes because it looks like nothing. And by the time this is over, you will never look at your dog the same way again. Pay attention to this today, because your dog has already been showing you. You just did not know what you were seeing. So what is the silent sign? Here is the direct answer. It is stillness. Specifically, the kind of stillness your dog chooses when they are near you. Not the stillness of a dog who has been ignored into exhaustion, not the stillness of an anxious dog who has learned not to move. The stillness of a dog who has made a conscious internal decision, and that decision is, I am safe. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I do not need to monitor for threats right now, because the most important signal in my environment is telling me that everything is fine. That signal is you. Most people assume that when their dog is calm around them, it just means the dog is tired, or comfortable, or used to the routine, and those things can be true. But there is a version of this quiet that is something else entirely, and once you understand the difference, you will see it for exactly what it is. A dog who is merely comfortable will rest near you. A dog who trusts you at the deepest level available to them will rest in you. The difference is not about proximity. It is about where the dog's nervous system has decided to anchor itself. And that is only half of the story, because the way trust actually works inside a dog's psychology, the mechanism behind it, the way it builds and where it shows up, is far more specific than anyone talks about. To understand why stillness matters, you have to understand what trust actually costs a dog. Dogs are descended from animals who survived by staying alert. Every sound, every movement, every unknown scent was a potential threat that needed to be processed and categorized before they could afford to relax. That wiring did not disappear when dogs moved into our homes. It quieted. But it is still there, running in the background, every single hour of every single day. This means that relaxation, real relaxation, the kind where a dog genuinely stops scanning the environment for danger, is not a default state. It is a decision. And the only thing that unlocks that decision is trust. Here is where it gets specific. Dogs do not distribute trust evenly. They do not trust everyone in the household equally just because everyone feeds them, or pets them, or plays with them. Research on canine attachment, particularly from institutions studying the bond between dogs and their primary caregivers, consistently shows that dogs form what is called a secure attachment base with one person. 1. In a home with 5 people, your dog has mentally designated one of them as the emotional anchor, the one who, by their presence alone, signals to the nervous system, the calculation is over. You can stop now. And the way a dog communicates that someone has become this anchor is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is a specific quality of stillness that looks, to the untrained eye, like absolutely nothing. But here's the part that changes how you see it. That stillness is not passive. It is an active choice being made continuously. Your dog's brain is always running the threat assessment. The question is never, should I be alert? The question is always, is there something here that overrides my trust signal? When your dog goes quiet and still in your presence, not tired quiet, but settled quiet, what you are watching is a brain that has decided the answer is no. Nothing overrides you. Not the sound from outside. Not the unfamiliar smell coming through the window. Not the thing that moved in the corner. You outweigh all of it. That is what trust looks like in a dog. Not excitement, not dependency, quietness. Now, here is the layer that most people miss entirely, because it requires you to look more carefully at a moment that looks like nothing. Inside the stillness, there are micro behaviors, tiny physical signals that distinguish trust from simple comfort. and that distinguish trust in you specifically from general ease in an environment. The first one is where your dog's weight goes. When a dog is simply resting, their weight is distributed to stay mobile, slightly coiled, ready to move. But when a dog is resting near the person they trust most, their weight shifts differently. It settles. You will see it in the way they lean. Not dramatically. Not the kind of leaning that is asking for affection. Something smaller, a gentle, almost unconscious pressure against your leg, your foot, your side, as if their body is orienting itself toward a fixed point. This is not a trained behavior. Nobody teaches a dog to do this. It is something that emerges specifically in relationships where the nervous system has found an anchor. In wolf-pack dynamics, animals who have established deep social trust will physically orient toward each other during periods of rest. The behavior carries the same function in domestic dogs. It is a form of social proximity regulation. The body moves toward safety without the mind consciously directing it. The second micro-behavior is the eyes. Specifically, what researchers call a soft gaze. Hard eyes in a dog, pupils dilated, white slightly visible, muscles around the eye tense, are a sign of alertness or stress. Soft eyes are the opposite. Pupils relaxed, lids slightly heavy, the overall expression that most owners describe as their dog looking at them. Like that. Not staring, not intense, something gentler than that. Here is what makes this significant. Dogs do not show soft eyes to everyone. A study from Azabu University in Japan found that when dogs and their primary owners engaged in mutual eye contact, both species showed a spike in oxytocin, the same neurochemical involved in bonding between parents and children. This response was markedly reduced or absent when the same dogs made eye contact with strangers or even with familiar people outside the primary bond. Your dog's eyes soften for you in a way they do not soften for anyone else. It is not a personality trait. It is a chemical response that has your name on it. This is the one that stops most people. You have probably noticed that your dog sometimes yawns when you yawn. You did not teach them that. It just happens, and you probably wrote it off as coincidence or some kind of weird contagion, but it is not random. And what it actually means is far more specific than most dog owners ever find out. Contagious yawning, catching a yawn from someone else, is not something most animals do. In fact, for a long time, researchers believed it was unique to humans. Then, they found it in chimpanzees. And then, in a study from the University of Tokyo, they found it in dogs. But here is the part that most people never hear. The study did not just find that dogs catch yawns. It found that they catch yawns selectively. Dogs were significantly more likely to yawn in response to their owner than in response to a stranger. And the effect was not about attention or proximity or familiarity in the casual sense. It correlated with the strength of the emotional bond. Contagious yawning, in species where it occurs, is believed to involve a form of involuntary empathy, a neurological mirroring of another individual's internal state. When your dog catches your yawn, their brain is not performing a trick. It is doing something far more intimate. It is syncing with you. Not with the stranger across the room, not with the family member they see every day. With you specifically, because you are the one they have bonded to at a level deep enough to trigger that kind of automatic mirroring. And here is what that means in real terms. Your dog's nervous system has become, over time, partially tuned to yours. The rhythm of your breathing, the cadence of your movements, the quality of your stillness when something is wrong versus when everything is fine. Your dog's brain has been quietly downloading all of it and using it to calibrate their own internal state. That is not just trust. That is something closer to being known. If you have ever caught your dog yawning right after you did and wondered why, you were already closer to the truth than most people get. And if this is starting to click for you, hitting like takes about half a second, and it helps more dog owners find what you just found. Keep going, because the next part is the one that puts all of this together in a way you are not going to forget. Here is something that will completely reframe a behavior you have probably never thought twice about. Your dog turning their back to you is one of the highest trust signals in canine psychology, and almost no one realizes it. In the wild, showing your back to another animal is a vulnerability. You are exposing the parts of yourself you cannot defend. You cannot see a threat coming from behind. You cannot react as quickly. Turning your back, in the language that dogs inherited from their ancestors, is something you only do when you have decided, at a deep instinctive level, that the being behind you will not harm you. So when your dog circles into position, settles down, and faces away from you, when they put their back to you and close their eyes, they are not ignoring you. They are doing the opposite. They are making a choice that their instincts reserve exclusively for those they trust completely. They are saying, with their body, in a language older than any command you have ever taught them, "I know you are there, and I am not afraid." This is different from a dog who flops down across the room and happens to be facing away. The distinction is in what the dog does with their body before they settle. A dog performing this trust signal will often actively position themselves so that their back is toward you, sometimes even pressing lightly against you before lying down. The contact is part of the message. They are not just facing away from you. They are choosing you as the safe wall at their back. Watch for this today. If your dog has ever settled facing away from you, specifically while staying in your physical space, you are not being ignored. You are being chosen in a way that does not have a human equivalent. This is the distinction that changes everything, and it is one that most dog owners have never had to make. Your dog can love you without trusting you completely. Love in a dog shows up as excitement, attachment, following, seeking contact. A dog who loves you will want to be near you, but love and trust are not the same architecture. Trust is what happens when love has been tested enough times that the nervous system stops questioning the outcome. It is what remains after the love has settled, quieter than excitement, more durable than affection, and far more specific in who it gets directed toward. A dog who merely loves you will calm down when you enter the room. A dog who trusts you will have already been calm, because somewhere in their internal processing, they were waiting for you, and part of their nervous system was already resting on the certainty that you would come back. This is what researchers call secure attachment, and it has a physical signature. Dogs with a secure attachment to their primary person show measurably lower cortisol, the stress hormone, during mildly threatening situations when that person is present, not when any familiar person is present, when that specific person is there. The biology distinguishes between loved and trusted in a way that language cannot. Your dog's stillness around you is not just comfort. It is the physical expression of a nervous system that has resolved its most fundamental question: is this safe? And answered it with your name. The silence you have been walking past, the yawn they caught from you, the gentle weight against your leg, the back turned toward you in the dark. These are not small moments. They are the vocabulary of a trust that your dog has been building, piece by piece, every single day since they arrived in your life. They do not have a word for what you are to them, but they have been saying it continuously, in every quiet moment you have shared, in a language that exists entirely in behavior. Here is what shifts after you understand this. You are going to stop waiting for the loud moments to feel certain your dog loves you. The jumping when you come home, the excitement, the obvious displays. Those are real, but they are not the deepest thing. The deepest thing is happening in the quiet, in the way your dog settles near you without being called, in the way they catch your yawn without looking up, in the weight of a dog who has decided with their whole nervous system that you are the safest place in their world. Trust in a dog is not performed, it is revealed. And once you know how to read it, you will see it everywhere. In moments you used to scroll past, in pauses you used to miss, in the specific quality of a dog who has stopped calculating because you walked into the room. Your dog has been trusting you like this for a long time, probably since before you knew what to call it. Now you do. And if that lands the way I think it does, there's one more piece to this that connects directly to what we just covered. We talked today about how trust shows up in your dog's body, but there is a deeper question underneath all of it. What does your dog actually think you are? Not a human, not just an owner. The answer is stranger and more profound than most people expect, and it is the reason the trust signals we covered today are even possible in the first place. That video is already up on the channel. It is called Your Dog Doesn't Classify You as Human, and I think after everything you just heard, it is going to hit you completely differently.